the family atmosphere and what it has given us is a home.
We've been married how many years now? 52.
And a half.
52 and a half. She took my words. People, family, and a home. You know, presidents don't always have homes. And you know, we grew up in Georgia, but not any of our family lived there, not even first cousins. I mean, it was a great place to grow up, but it's not a home. And so, where's home? This is home. This is the third school where we've worked, and we've been welcome and been a part of the community everywhere, but the people here have been so friendly and supportive and kind and all that kind of stuff that, you know, this has become home even though we had no idea that would happen, and it certainly was not in our plans. But it happened, and it's the people. And I'm talking about not just the university community, I'm talking about the larger community. What a great place to live. You know, we had been at Gardner-Webb University for 17 years and retired. Major league mistake. I was bored, really bored. Chowan was in deep difficulty at that time. We knew a number of people from Chowan because of the sisterhood of the schools. And it just seemed the right place to come. I felt like the Lord just picked us up and put us out here. You know, some people, when they retire, and I had retired, not because that was a mistake. Some people go south or go on mission trips. Well, we came out east. It was a mission trip to save a school. And we came in part because of Dr. Whitaker had been my mentor earlier. He grew up near the Gardner-Webb campus. And I just enjoy things that are broken, see if we can be fixed. And particularly when my friends told me it couldn't be fixed and that we shouldn't come, that sealed the deal. So we decided we'd come for a year, and 1 year became 2, and 2 became 3, and this is number 15.
It was definitely God's will that we come, because I don't know who else had the experience or love for a place that Chris did, that he was able to bring in the right people to do the right jobs at the right time. It's all about the people that he was able to bring in, and it has been a fit.
For both of you.
Well, you know, in all those previous years at Gardner-Webb, we had some great successes, but all kinds of problems in the school. And I think I'd met every kind of problem that a school could have. And so when we got here, it was we didn't find anything that we hadn't seen before. And I determined before we came that this was a very fixable situation. It was a fine school, but they didn't know how to recruit students and things like that, and we can fix that. I learned how to manage things from my childhood working with my father in the service station. I learned how to deal with customers and budgets and all those kinds of things. And in my academic career as a professor and then an administrator, I learned all that kind of thing. And so I was primed. And it was the most challenging thing I've ever done. In some ways, therefore, the most gratifying. And we're not finished yet.
No, we're not.
Some of our trips, looking back at some of our students, watching them play basketball or tennis, and meeting their parents. And for a lot of the basketball players, it's their grandparents who were so involved in the game and relating to them. And having a student come and sit with me in church, that's pretty special.
With all the success we had at Gardner-Webb grew to a fairly good size. And that's a good thing, except there is a downside to that, and that is as the big grows larger, your ability to have one-on-one contact with people gets less and less. And so I've always enjoyed contact with students, knowing faculty, knowing by name, knowing the grounds people, whoever. And coming to a smaller environment here has made that possible. So, I mean, getting to know all these people and have them know me is a fun thing.
And being able to hire some of our graduates. It's been a big reward.
If retirement means stopping and doing nothing, then I'm unnerved by that. And so I'm excited about this new opportunity. We found a way to stay, hopefully to be helpful. And never in my whole career have I had an opportunity to really seek money for the schools. Now, we've raised a lot of money, but not really think about it and that be one of my major efforts. So it's a new challenge. I'm anxious to try it on. Number one goal, help Dr. Peterson be successful. He's been a friend of ours and Rachel for a long time. They're special, and I think the school has chosen really well. And I'm looking forward to see what he will do. But my goal, number one goal, is to help him be successful. I remember what it was like 32 years ago to start as a president with no help. I thought I knew what I was doing until I started. And then
But you had good training
I
at Elon.
had good training, but still in the office, you just don't know what you don't know. And so I want to help him learn about the people, the issues, and advise him. But it's going to be a new trick for me. I mean, having led the ship for 32 years, now I got to figure out how to help someone else lead it without getting in the way. And you folks can help me with that as we go along. Second is to try to secure some major funding for some projects that we need. As you know, we have some, even though we've had some significant progress rather in building things, we're not anywhere where we need. And all that takes some serious money. And I've got ideas of how to do that. I'm just anxious to try them out. So.
The people and the students and a lot of the first generation college students and what they have been able to do since graduation. I mean, that's what it's all about. But physically, the buildings, not only the new ones and the special ones like White's Crossing that we are so honored to have our name on, just bringing all the older buildings up to code and where they should be, back to life, yes. And right now we're bringing a house back to life where we'll be living, the Chancellor's Cottage.
It's going to be really exciting.
I think I'm probably most proud of the fact that we've been able to be a part of a school that was seriously facing closure to a school now that is financially solid with a serious reputation in the marketplace, and a school that can now start making some serious choices about what it wants to be without worrying about whether it can survive next year. That's just, I just enjoy that.
You also enjoy the comparing Chowan to other schools and seeing how Chowan has risen in ranks has been most thrilling.
Oh, yes. Unless a person has a competitive streak, the presidency will overwhelm them. It's just the nature of the job. And so we college presidents, we are a friendly bunch, but we are competitive. Hopefully wiser. But I've known for a long time that the college presidency is not a sprint. Even though I have ignored that from time, I just run wide open. I think I've learned to mellow out somewhat. There are those who probably say I need to mellow some more. But mellow out and enjoy the ride. I've also, you learn so many things as you go along. Sometimes by trial and error. But so much of what we do is finding the right person in the right role and letting them do their job and cheering them on. If we get the right people in the right places, it's amazing how well this school runs. So I enjoy that. I'm a born talent scout. I'm always looking for who we might can employ next. I do that. It's just by instinct. And we've got some terrific people. I've never had a senior staff as good as what we have here. But don't tell them. Biggest challenge for me was to change the attitude of the people from one of despair and fearing bad things and to we can do this.
Making everybody feel important.
Feel important.
That they have a very important role, no matter who they are.
When we first came, I did a lot of listening to people. And one thing I kept hearing consistently was disparagement about the location of the school. We're in the middle of nowhere. I heard that so many times. We're in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing here. And I thought about that. That's a recipe for disaster. And so we flipped it around and said, we are in the middle of everything. We've got a quiet village, a safe village, a friendly village. But if we want to go to the beach, we're at the beach an hour and a half. We want to go to Washington, D.C., it's 3 hours away or whatever. We want to go to Williamsburg. We're in the middle of everything. Norfolk has everything, and that whole area has everything you can imagine, except Major League Baseball, probably, and the NFL. But so we're in the middle. It's an attitudinal change. The glass is really half full. It's not half empty.
Looking back, in many ways, no, because even though we didn't come to stay, we came to stay just a year. Chris asked me what I would need to bring, and I said my plants and my pictures to hang on the wall of the family. It's been a humbling experience, and that God has led us year by year to stay and to do what we've done. He has guided us in that process, because I would say for a couple of years we didn't know how much that God needed us here and wanted us here.
We use the word God thing, but that's not a flippant at all. It's no doubt in my mind the Lord picked us up and put us here. Because looking back, I guess we're uniquely qualified for this situation. And not only put us here, but kept us here. And I'm not going to tell you that we figured this all out in the beginning. No, this thing, it just happened to us. And what I saw originally is simply a way to help a struggling school with some friends that I knew, became another career. And one of my dear friends at Gardner Webb, faculty member, told me when we first came here that
At the inauguration,
she said that I think that your best years, your best work are ahead of you. And that struck me at the time, but it obviously still resonates because I was very perceptive. I mean,
prophetic even.
Well, even though I had a great career at Elon early on as a professor and an administrator, and I was the vice president for years. And then the Gardner Webb experience was a great experience, tremendous growth, all those kinds of things. The Vanity School, named for it, all these things. I don't think any of that holds up to what happened here. And the reason is where the school was to where it is. And I look back in absolute amazement. You know, we have decided that, you know, this is our home. And even though we'll keep our house in Charlotte and obviously spend as much time there as we can for grandchildren and all that, but this is home. Our church is here. Our doctors are here. Our friends are here. We just sort of like it. What else is there to say? Hopefully that will be good for the school. Several of my friends are retiring. Now, this seems to be a turnover time for private college presidents here in North Carolina. And 2 or 3 of them are stated to me that, you know, when they finish, they're moving to, well, one of them's moving to Pittsburgh, one of them, you know, they're going to Texas, wherever.
They're done.
They're done. That's not necessarily the best for the school.
The two examples that we're trying to follow are Elon and the University of Richmond. So tell them about your 2 friends at those 2 places.
Well, Bruce Howman was the president of Richmond. Before that, he had been president of Meredith, but Richmond, he was just a world-renowned president. And he has been sort of the godfather for a lot of us. He must be 90 years old now. Quite a character. And I spent some time with him before I ever became president, you know, as a part of the process. And he has been president emeritus of Richmond forever. And it has brought untold millions of dollars to that school. The next one would be at Elon. J. Earl Daniel was the president who hired me for my very first job, and so he's in my pantheon of saints. But when he finally retired, he became chancellor, and he remained chancellor on the staff doing, you know, the grand old man of the campus until his death this last spring at age 92, I think. And so people ask me, how long do we hope to do this? The word I would say is indefinitely. If it works, this is just whatever. And because we've worked, just for a development point of view, we've worked now 15 years with, and we've made friends and hopefully developed trust with all kinds of people who can help the school. It takes those years to do that. A new president, even one as gifted as Kirk Peterson, you just can't do that
Immediately.
It takes time. And so we're using those models as what we're doing here, and I hope to do.
The family atmosphere, our sons bought into us being here, and therefore our grandchildren have spent many hours on this campus, especially when they were young. Marty and Heather and Charlotte have been wonderful, and hopefully we've been helpful when they needed it to have the children here, and that's been wonderful. We have happy memories of each of our grandchildren on this campus, and one especially of Turner, who is Andrew's son. The first winter we were here, Turner came for 2 weeks in January, and his daddy came and checked on him the weekend in between. But Turner's a smart little guy, and even then I knew he loved to read, and I read him every night, The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keats, about Peter. And then one night, Chowan had this heavy snow, and I couldn't wait for Turner to wake up the next morning. And I finally did go into his room and wake him up, and I said, "Turner, guess what happened last night?" And he said, "It snowed." So we have great pictures of him in front of the president's home. You can just barely see his little red hat with our 2 dogs at the time. in their red and green sweaters. So many memories. And then when our oldest, Caroline, was about 5 or 6, there was a Board of Visitors meeting that summer. And lo and behold, for the entertainment, she sang. And there was an admissions director from Elon in the audience who today still remembers that and remembers her when she just recently interviewed for a scholarship at Elon.
And she may end up at Elon, which
Very cool.
would be cool.
And of course, all of them, except the youngest one, learning to ride the bike here on campus. And we're still hoping for that because we'll still have,
I've got the bike. I'm ready.
we're saving the bike.
Saving the bike.
And we still have center court, walk right out our front door of the Chancellor's cottage. Our Camille is 15 and is so special. But the thing I remember most is as a 15-year-old last summer. She came and stayed a week and a half.
All right, take a minute.
How many 15-year-olds do that?
Well, I enjoyed it because I didn't teach her how to drive, but we put a lot of miles on the car with her practicing her driving. So, yeah.
And then Cameron, with his outward wonderful personality, just loves the campus and loves to be able to go anywhere he wants to. And the sweet thing about Cardin is the first time that he remembers coming, he was about 3, and his family had gone to Portugal for a Rotary convention. And so we drove from Charlotte here to Chowan, and we pulled in the garage, and that little 3-year-old looked at me and he said, "How will I ever get back to Charlotte?" That was just so sweet. But we had a wonderful, wonderful time, and that was the first time that he remembers. And now, of course, we've had Adeline many times in Charlotte, but we are looking forward to her first visit here in April. Yeah, it's going to be exciting for her to be here.
It's been fun. It still is fun that the grandkids are proud of who their grandparents are. Lynn and I grew up in a small county in northeast Georgia, but I was more or less a town boy, even though we lived a mile out of town. I went to town schools. She lived in the county, and it was just one high school for the whole thing. But our parents, were, I guess, middle class, lower middle class. I mean, they were hard-working Christian kind of people, but we had no resources at all. To think that we would have left that environment and done and been what we've done, it just doesn't make sense. It is an absolute amazement to me. So, looking back, oh my goodness. And looking ahead, I'm hoping there's still quite a bit yet left. We read just recently, someone says we're entering the dessert stage of our lives.
The dessert course.
The dessert course.